Girls, it's time for your favorite program, Engendered.
Yeah, Mommy, we're coming right away. Sophia, turn off the gas. What are your fears as a woman? And what are your doubts as a lady? You think you're alone with those thoughts? Then welcome to Engendered, where we bring you discuss, interviews, previews, experiences, opinions, and issues relating to the female gender. This is Engendered.
Glad to have you join us on today's episode of Engendered on KAFTAN television. And like you know, Engendered is a show where we discuss all issues revolving around the female gender. I am Chidinma Ufomadu.
I am Pamela, Ajaero. Welcome to the program this evening. We'll be bringing you another interesting story for today, but that'll be after the break. To join us again.
Glad to have you back. Welcome from the break. And this is still Engendered coming to you from KAFTAN TV, Abuja. And I think it's 2 days, literally less than 2 days before the 2023 election, where Nigeria finally decides who is going to take us on for the next 4 or 8 years. And I really do hope that you actually come out to vote on Saturday. Everybody has put in a lot of effort. Media, we're already on ground preparing to cover the event. So please, if you know you want a change and you don't want to just be a voice in the background, come out and vote on Saturday, 25th of February. Pamela, are you going to be voting?
I would have loved to. With the measure of the job, I don't know. I'd have loved to, as early as possible, go out cast before coming back to the studios or the duty for the day. I don't think that will be possible.
But what if it's possible? It might be possible.
Of course, I will be going out to vote. I'll have to do my civic responsibility. And I really, really wish I could do that on Saturday so my own vote can count as well. How about you?
I I really hope I really hope I would vote, because when it comes, we should actually vote. We would vote. We would vote, because when it comes to the type of work we do, those that are on the field, those that are in the studio, there are sometimes that you might not have the ability, but we should run a shift or a schedule that will enable us to go out to vote. But what surprised me still is that as much as we've clamored for this thing and we've been raising our voices, some people still don't have the PVC. Like,
that's really a past tense. Let's not talk about people who don't have PVC now. Let's focus on people who has PVC, that they should come out.
I know it's past tense, but I'm just feeling like after the noise, because still during this week, somebody came out to on Twitter. You know, Twitter is not always friendly with people, and he was talking about a lot of things. And the next question, someone asked him like,
"Do you have your PVC?
What's up? That where's your polling unit and stuff?" The guy was like, "I don't have a PVC." You get,
okay.
But like Pamela said, it's past.
But there's another challenge I noticed yesterday. Somebody was telling me, I don't know my polling unit, and I'm very sure most people do not know their polling unit, despite the fact that there has been so much sensitization out there how to do it. But up to this moment, some people do not know.
And there is a shortcode to get to know your polling unit.
Yes, like I tried one. Some are fake. Some news are fake out there. Because I tried one, I saw that send your code to a number, and it didn't work. I have to now retry another one, and that one worked for me. But other people, I see some people are still struggling to get their polling unit. But I really encourage everyone out there, go out and vote your conscience. Go out and vote, so that once you make effort and it doesn't work, we'll know. But instead of relaxing and not doing anything, expecting a change, the change starts from everybody. Everybody must partake in making a great Nigeria.
You know what somebody told me this week that I really felt like, if not for age, maybe the person is my senior, I just felt like I should slap the person.
Because so much comments
because literally he was talking about votes, and I was like, okay, what's up? Where's your PVC, your polling unit? Are you voting? Said I'm not voting, but the angels will vote on my behalf. And I'm like, if everybody has that mentality, who is going to vote? We have said a lot of prayers. We have hoped for a lot. I can't even, the rate at which we pray in this country, oh my God,
it's loud.
Even God knows, like, it's our ringing tune every time. We have prayed. It is time to carry out the action. Faith without work is what? Dead. So you should come out and vote. Come out and vote. God has given you the strength, the power. You've done your bit by praying. Please come out and vote. And either your candidate wins or not, you know that you tried and you made an effort to actually make a change in Nigeria. So let's now focus on our topic of discussion for today. But before we delve into our topic of discussion, we have a short clip for you to watch. And after watching that clip, I think you understand the angle that we are going to. We'll be right back.
I find it very uncomfortable, very inappropriate for our colleague, Senator Gloria, to step in and you don't understand if she's on the normal woman cycle or it is faking it, and it is so indecent because these are natural things that as women we go through.
I'm covered, I have a suit, I have collars, I'm just short of a tie. I'm very disappointed. I'm actually more disappointed because the point of order that is being raised to try and attack an accident that is natural, because I have stained my clothes. And at the end of the day, I just want to know, while we are discussing this issue that is not even in the order paper, is it because senators are not women who have periods? I want to know, because then maybe I shouldn't be in this house because I have periods, Mr. Speaker. And on my way here, I actually stained my dress. So, and this is the period stigma, Mr. Speaker. This is the period stigma that is making our girls kill themselves. We have a girl who killed herself because of the same issue that I'm going through. And now I understand why. Because it is the women who actually are trying to make this a crime. Because maybe it's Valentine's Day. Because maybe Valentine's Day we are not supposed to have our periods. I am shocked that someone can stand here and say that the house has been disgraced because a woman has had her period. So women are not supposed to be in the Senate because we have periods. I don't understand. I'm in trousers. I've covered my... Honestly, the most someone can do is come to me and tell me, I'm sorry, are you having period cramps? Shall I give you painkillers? But instead, I am actually being castigated for having my period. So what we need to now talk about is, do women belong in the Senate? Because to try and pretend that women do not have periods because they're in the Senate, this is a very natural thing, and I'm very embarrassed and I'm very, very upset, Mr. Speaker. Protect me.
I'm not asking you to leave because you're out of order, but I'm asking you to leave so that you go change and come back with a cloth that is not stained. We appreciate you. Kindly appreciate you. Kindly proceed to go change and come back to the chambers. Next order.
You're welcome back to the show. And that video that we just played, I think it's about 2 or 3 minutes video. It's a video that it's something that happened in Kenya of a senator, Senator Gloria. She was trying to clamor for the passage of the bill for free pads, and she's trying to explain what the female gender goes through. If condoms are free, why can't we have free sanitary towels all over the place? And there's been some kind of controversy over what happened, and it made the news, so we decided to discuss it today. And we're going to be discussing this particular topic with Maryann Okorom. She's the founder and executive director of the Reach Out Africa Development Initiative. You're welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. So, first of all, are you going to vote? Are you voting?
Sure, I am.
Okay,
I like the
I'm
energy.
glad about that. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
So, the video that we just watched now, actually, we've watched it before. It's about period stigma. Let me read something here. One of the comments that somebody gave said, Senator Gloria sought to make a statement on period stigma, and in Kenya, where condoms are free, so should sanitary pads be as well. And it worked. She has then now given a notice of motion, bring a bill to Senate to have free sanitary products distributed to all school girls. She's a hero. That's what some people are saying. Why some people are saying, why did she have to go so far? Why did she have to come out and embarrass the female gender and then spew spill blood everywhere and make it look like she was? Some people are saying she staged it. Some people are saying she was on her period. But she was trying to pass a bill, or to pass a message to people that don't have sanitary towels, this is what they go through now. And she was not saying, in that video, if you watched it, the lady before her was the one calling her out for coming to the meeting stained, and then the speaker then told her to go home and change her clothes and come back, that he wasn't shaming her. Some people of the opinion saying women supporting women. Why did she have to come out and say that? Why didn't she go to her personally and say, oh, sorry, ma'am, you're stained. Can you just go home and change? Senator Gloria was saying she should be protected. Why didn't you come to me, talk to me? Can I get you a pad? Are you okay? That this has led to a lot of ladies committing suicide. And the term they use for this is period stigma. So I will come to Maryann now. Can you help us do justice to this? What do you think period stigma is, and what is it about?
Well, first of all, I would like to point out that myths, misinformations, and all of that is what actually some bring about stigmatization, like the word stigma. And going by the clip that I watched, well, that wasn't necessary for the other lady that came out to call her out. That wasn't necessary, really. And really, and like you said earlier, it has led to suicide and so many girls dropping out of school also. My take is that was not just good at all. It's
so how if you were in a position, how would you have handled it?
Call her privately. She's a girl like me or a lady like me. Talk to her. That's what that's our role in the community as a woman. We look out for ourselves, our fellow women. It's just very easy. Just call her out, ma'am. You're stained. How can I help you? You know, stuff like that. Not coming out. That was very wrong. It's very bad.
When you talk about period stigmatization, there's also a word that comes in mind, period poverty.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can throw a light on what it entails.
Okay, period poverty in a whole is just sanitary products being scarce or even unavailable for these girls during their period. Sometimes, you could find out in rural areas that pads are actually very expensive. That's where it's even being sold. Some places it's not even sold at all. So now you can imagine a young girl that barely eats. How can she afford 600 naira to 1,000 naira to buy pads? And sometimes they have to, purchase two packs. And now you see them going to use racks and some stuff, tissues that's so bad and leads to vaginal infections. So that's all about poverty.
Period poverty.
Period poverty is when sanitary products are not available or expensive.
Okay. So I know that you've been in the field and you've been into this particular aspect for some time now. So I would like to ask you, when you go out there to meet with these young ladies, what are the problems or what are the experiences? What kind of experiences do they share with you?
Well, to start with, these girls actually don't come out straight to ask you questions. That's the more alarming thing. So they come like Nicodemus, they just write out their you don't even know the person
exactly
who's asking these questions now. So like in my programs where there are anchor, I just make them write their questions in a piece of paper and send it across. I've been to a school where after I finished like 30 minutes, talking to them, and do you have a question? Everyone was just quiet.
Quiet.
And then when I sat down, I saw a girl come close. I'm like, sorry, ma'am, can I ask you a question? And the question she asked was very like mind blowing. And I'm like, you have a guidance and counseling teacher in your school, and you're suffering this much. Why don't you talk to her? And then she became quiet. Now I understand that these girls actually don't have the self-esteem to even ask questions. That is the major problem, and that's the foundation problem for these girls. If that can be solved first, for them to understand that menstruation is just natural. In fact, it's what completes you. It's what makes you a woman.
If you don't have it, there's a problem.
I tell you, you should be happy that you menstruate.
Yes.
You know, menstruating is a problem. All right, so these girls come, and of course, back to what I was saying, they come and they write these questions in a piece of paper, and I tell you, the questions are very, very scary. Let me use that word, sorry. Scary. You can imagine somebody asking you, ma'am, I bleed for 7 days, sometimes over a week. Is it normal? And other times they tell you, I see things like meat. That's how they ask the questions. Meat. Of course, when you have these lumps, they call it meat because they don't even understand what this is. Anyway, the experiences are so much, and I tell you, they're not good ones actually. They're not just good ones.
Okay, now let's look at another perspective from it. Some people have tried to say that somebody actually asked me this question, and I had my opinion, but I want to hear what you have to say about this. Some people that go out to provide solutions for these ladies, they now introduce the reusable parts.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know your take. Which is better, the reusable parts or the disposable parts?
Okay, let me make this clear first of all. Reusable parts are more like substitutes. First of all, you should have that understanding. Okay. First of all, all right. So in areas where you find out that these parts are not available or are expensive, and you find out that these girls majorly use rags, and sometimes they just flow without using anything. What is substitute for when they cannot have access to these disposable parts? They go for reusable parts. In my programs too, I teach these girls on how to make reusable parts with 3 materials. At home, you don't have to know how to sew. So when we go to this area, into these rural areas, we teach them with just 3 materials that are readily available and cheap. For them to, then we also teach them on how to maintain it and take care of it. So back to your question, which is better? Before you ask that question, you should understand that a regular girl that can afford a pad wouldn't opt for reusable pads.
You know, from the last thing you said, you know, most people do not like to talk about these things. They feel it like they are ashamed of talking about menstruation. What have you done so far in letting these people know that speaking out is the way forward?
Well, if a guy could easily talk about football, right? And they could easily talk about going to the gym and having their chest broadened up, and so why would I talk about what is natural about me that makes me a woman? So I tell these girls, it's okay to talk about, like anybody that knows me, like I use the word menstruation without reservations because it's a natural thing. And without it, I'm not a woman. So why shouldn't I talk about menstruation?
Well, why
so
are
I
people
tell
always
this
shying away from talking
because
about
of,
it?
like I said to you, that it's the myth, misinformation, misconception they've gotten from back then. That's what led to this. And now this is why we need to change the narrative. Tickets. The time has come where every girl, every woman out there is supposed to know that menstruation is natural. Menstruation should be talked about just like every natural happening. Somebody is pregnant, it is obvious. So why would menstruation, why will it be hidden? I did not choose to be a woman. God made me a woman, and God knows why He made every woman menstruate. So why should I hide what God has given to me naturally that makes me complete as a woman? Come on, without menstruation, you will not give birth. Start with.
Okay, so let's look at it now in aspect to the roles of women in society. Now let's see this. You see, there are sometimes that so many people, for example, what happened to Senator Gloria now? And she had to leave the place. we call it period shaming. They said it's embarrassing, period stigma, and the likes of it. But these things happen in so many workplaces. It happens in schools, where people don't understand that, oh, okay, let me use myself, for example. Something happened to me on Saturday. So I went out and I didn't know that I was expecting the period. And then next thing that happened, I got stained. And I stained someone's car in the process. So it was quite uncomfortable because it seemed embarrassing. Like, okay, I shouldn't have done that. But it's no intention. I thought about it. And I decided to go and meet the person the next day. And I apologized. I'm like, I don't know if I did. But I know that my period started that day and I was not prepared for it. I really don't know if I did, but I think I did this. And immediately I started, person was like, please stop that. I have sisters, it's normal. So that's when I now confirmed that, okay, I actually stay in the car. But he told me, I have sisters and it's normal. Why are you apologizing for it? It's not your fault. At that point, it made me comfortable. It made me calm. Because if he had not responded in that manner, maybe I would have been avoiding him. Because I thought twice. I even had to consult a lot of people. Like, should I apologize? Should I not apologize about this? So now, why is it that people now look down on? Because sometimes you go to some really, yes, there are still some people that believe that when a woman is on a period, she should not be on the altar. Some people believe that a woman should not enter some certain places, maybe because she's unclean. Some people
she shouldn't even cook.
Exactly, she should not cook. Guess what? So a friend was telling me once that she heard that when you're on your period, you should not make women because women will not form.
And
I'm like,
spoke about.
So I was like, making me understand. Like, I never took note of this because all my life, for a long time in my father's house, every Saturday we make moimoi, and I can't count how many times I've been on my period, and it forms and we eat it. So people still believe things like that. And now you go to the office, and then some people, I've heard some people talk about bosses that will tell them, I can't give you this role, I can give you a lower role because you're a woman. And the next thing you start giving, the excuse of your period cramps, your menstruation, pregnancy, marriage and stuff like that would not let you deliver on the job. So now, how can we change the narrative whereby people will look at women like, okay, you are a productive being. You're not just a baby money making machine. It's not just about your period. It's not about what makes you a woman. How can we change that narrative where everybody can see us as being productive and not put us down or hinder us because of our feminine attributes?
First of all, this is a collective role for all of us. It's not just the woman thing. Okay, let's start with the guys first. I think it's time for every one of us to also educate these men about this menstruation, talk about it freely, openly, make them understand that, hey guy, she bleeds, you protect her. It's not a problem for her to bleed and stain, or it's something that you should even encourage and protect her when she's menstruating. I don't know if I'm getting your point clearly. I'm answering you.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier too, it is a collective job. It's something that every one of us should try and talk about often. I don't know if you talk about this often. I think it's like it's being heard from you, it's being heard from her, it's being heard from he. You pass it on. The other person pass it on on and on. Before you know it, it becomes something well known, and it solves a lot of issues, even the ones that we don't even have an idea about. Yeah, and for the role of a woman in this, we should let me make reference to that video.
Okay.
For a woman, our role, first of all, being a mother.
Okay.
A mother does what? Protects, nurtures, teaches, right? It's time for us women to have our backs. Like I carry pads in my bag anywhere I'm going to.
Okay.
Not for myself.
Yeah.
Just in
For the
case.
next
Because I
person.
have this mind that I could just find a young girl or a woman wearing white or anything, and I'm like, oh mom, you're stained. Don't worry, I can help you. I have it. And you can imagine the relief and the love she'll feel. Probably she's even having a bad day also. So this is a collective thing, and it's something that I should be intentional about.
Now, talking about the role of the male in this period stigmatization, there is also some misconception these men have already that is making them not to fully involve themselves. Like I have a report here that says a troubling misconception, particularly among men, is that the onset of period signals the start of sexual maturity, and early marriage can become a consideration. For example, somebody responded that when I hear the word menstruation, I know that a girl or woman is bleeding, and I know that she is now ready for marriage. Another said that a girl getting her first period means that she's grown up and she's able to have sex. Most times, most ladies don't want to open up and say I'm menstruating because of this idea men has already of it. So once you tell them you're menstruating, the next thing that comes to a father's head is, my daughter is ready to marry. They're not even thinking of, okay, a way to protect the child from any other negativity. The next target is marriage. How can this misconception be thrown away?
Well, I think that's as a result of, first of all, though a girl can actually get pregnant without menstruating, yeah. But then it's fully known generally that when a woman starts menstruating, yes, she can get pregnant. And based on their minds, our fathers' their mindset back then, it's been believed that when a girl is menstruating, so she's ready for marriage, because marriage is all about what? Childbearing. Now that's what led to this misconception. It's time we talk about this. Like I said that to her already. We talk about this. We need to educate our men. Things have changed. Their mindset needs to be improved. Let me use that word. So for this early child marriage is I think that's what led to that thought, whereby if a girl starts menstruating, because they believe that once she starts menstruating, she can start producing babies. So that's what led to that. But come on, that's not it. Marriage and childbearing are two different things. I can start menstruating and choose to get married in my 30s and start having my babies then. It's all about time. There's time for everything. So for a girl of 12 years or 9 years that is menstruating doesn't mean all her organs are ready to bring out baby. To produce a baby. If you check, this early marriages leads to these girls giving birth on time. They don't even finish school. They are majorly dropouts, and it has also led to poverty because these girls don't tend to finish school, don't even have any hands-on like income generating activities to care for their of course bills, their bills, everyday bills. Now these girls depend on their husbands at that tender age. See them with a child, no skill, no education. It leads to major poverty, and you find out that these girls are just there having complications upon complications. Okay, I went to there was while I was in Bauchi a few years back. I was on a job. I went to Ningi local government, and we met this woman. Though what brought us was different, not menstruation though. No, of course, when they see NGOs people now, they think there's magani, there's drugs that we're giving to them. Well, we just came there to ask about childbearing stuff, the use of misoprostol and cloves. I can't remember that name again. All right, so before we commenced our interview, she was like, she's bleeding, she lost her child, this, that please, if we can help her with any drug, even if it's Panadol, for her to just take care of herself. She's infected. She so many things that can't even. Now, these men don't even care about these women. She had, according to her, since she came into his house, she doesn't know what's called hospital. All the time she was pregnant, there was no medical care given to her, no drugs. Even after giving, of course, they give birth in the house and they use razor or broken bottles. They'll go and get this early cow dung and place. Yes, they do that. I've seen this, understand? And then that's their belief. They don't believe that they need to. I don't know. It's just
I'm trying to
a whole lot.
I can't even picture everything.
It's just a whole lot. Like if I want to talk about that, we won't live here really.
Still speaking on roles that people have to play to help mitigate this. I would also want you to throw light on roles of policy makers in this, because Chidinma stated something like, if you're in the office, there's a way you can create a rules that can accommodate ladies. When I came to this company newly, the former head of station, then she said you can take, she gave the ladies 1 day off every month. That's once you're menstruating, because most people, if you're menstruating that first day, you really usually have some kind of pain. So she now said once you're menstruating that first day, you can stay off. I don't know if there can be rules. And relating to that story we showed on the TV, that woman, both of them are policy makers. There would have been a way that they can put heads together to implement something that will be helpful to women and girls. But instead, the other one was dragging the other person down. So what are the roles of policy makers in pushing this or mitigating the...
Well,
what do you think policy makers can do?
I've not really had my thoughts on that.
Okay.
But I think they play a major part in workspace. Like you mentioned, it's actually a very good one for KAFTAN TV to actually have that thought, to have the ladies have a break the first few days or the first day, because that's when it flows heavily and you have the cramps and all of that. So like going by what you said, I think this and much more, but what I could actually contribute to this is possibly have a bank, a pad bank in your offices. Yeah, having a pad bank could really go a long way, because sometimes, just like the Kenyan woman, she didn't even expect it, it just came out. So what if you were in the office and it came out? Do you have to start going home? Tickets. So I think they should also have this pad banks. It will actually go a long way. Aside that, also have some drugs to
help relieve the pain.
The pain.
Okay, now let's look at this particular aspect. Let's look at the period stigma. How would you encourage the female gender now to rise above the embarrassment or shame? Because sometimes the Senator Gloria came out with her stained dress. She did it so that she can explain what people go through. There are some people that are not bold enough. Like, okay, once they hear, like when we were in secondary school, a girl got stained and she left class. Throughout the day, she didn't come back again because she felt so embarrassed. She didn't learn for that day because she felt like, oh, all the boys in the class have seen it. I heard of a story of another girl that on the group chats in the school, a boy took a picture of her stained gown and posted it on the group chat, and everybody was laughing at her. She told her parents she wanted to leave the school because of the shame and embarrassment. Me, because of what I know now, the mindset I have, you can't shame me because of my period. If you have sense, as a fellow lady or as a guy, if I'm on a period, I'm staying, I feel you should even help out and try and help me solve that particular problem. So how would you encourage the female gender now to be bold? To be, I'm not saying they should come out carrying blood everywhere, that's what I'm saying. But how would you explain to them that, okay, even if I get stained here, right now, in front of the camera, I can still come back tomorrow and do my program without having any bad feeling about it?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a practical example with that. Okay. So I have this, my mommy, when I launched my program, after I launched my project, she came and shared her story. So she said she's a public figure. She was to attend a function, and while walking down, just before the compound already, just about going in for the program, guess what? Her pad dropped.
Wow.
Now, it's not just the staining now. Her pad dropped.
How?
So what did she do? She went down, picked it, put it in her bag, took her head up, and walked. She didn't care if anybody was watching. Okay, so my pad fell, so what? So for the girls, you stained. It's not your fault. Doesn't change anything from you. Doesn't make you less. In fact, you should be proud in a way that you're stained. Like, show the world that I am a complete woman. Well, I'm not asking you to mess yourself up. No, of course, yeah. It's than going through all that, work to getting yourself cleaned up again. You should try and track your period. But okay, so it happened. You got stained. What is that's? There is no big deal about that. It shouldn't be the reason why you don't you don't go back to school the next day. In fact, that's why I mentioned, pad banks should be made available in schools, offices, and organizations, whereby if this thing happens, they could just go to the toilet, change, and go back to school, get back to class. And for the guys, like I said earlier too, it's time for every one of us to educate these boys that instead of laughing at these girls, they should be one of their support system. They should be here for she's. Because they should be the one to like make these girls like it's okay, it's fine. We really need to work on the mindset of our young boys coming up now, even our fathers, even our uncles out there, that if a girl is stained, you shouldn't laugh at. It's wrong. In fact, it makes you I see people that guys that laugh at girls as guys that are not responsible.
Okay.
Personally, they're not responsible, and
they don't have sisters, or they don't know.
I think they're not responsible. They're not mature. Their minds are shallow. That's for me. Come on, if you have a sister, if you have a mother out there, or if you have a wife or a girlfriend out there, what do you do if you find her in that position, in that situation? Your mind should just work on what's helping her out.
Solution,
protecting her, not the other way around. So they should also understand that. And now I'm referring to the guys. For a guy to come out and laugh at a girl, you're not responsible. Your mind is shallow. You need to work on yourself. I feel they even have low self-esteem themselves. Because anybody that wants to laugh at you or bring you down to make themselves look good, actually they are the ones that actually have low self-esteem.
You know, most times these ladies, we the ladies who don't have enough information about this, not to talk of the men. So I see where the lapses are coming from. But I'll share a story where one of my girlfriends told me she went to the boyfriend's house and the period just came. And like we said earlier, men shy away from these things just like we the women. So the guy was just like, you will need pad, of course. And immediately he went out. He was not shy that if I go and say I want to buy pad now, people will now start looking at me one kind. He just went, took the money, went out, bought the pad and came back. And I was just telling her, whoa, that is really a matured guy, because it takes maturity for someone to do that. So all of us, we have to have the knowledge. You don't shame anybody because of menstruation. It's a natural occurrence that nobody can control. Even you experiencing it, you can't control. We don't even know how it came about. So I don't see a reason why you should shame anybody. And you, the ladies, don't be shamed. You say you cannot even shame the shameless. But then don't be shamed. Don't be scared. Don't be embarrassed. It's something God has given you, and be proud of it.
Exactly. There's something I want to ask as we round up. Actually, you mentioned something about tracking your period. What are the ways in which you advise the female gender to track their periods? Because one thing is to be proactive. There are sometimes that I know it doesn't always follow the normal cycle. Sometimes it just period.
Okay.
For
period tracking, of course, if you don't have most times I ask these girls to have their small calendar.
Okay.
Or if you have the wall calendar.
Yeah.
So let's say today is what? 23rd.
23rd, sorry.
23rd. Okay. All right. I started bleeding on the 23rd, right? Okay. I mark it.
Let me learn too.
Some people have theirs for 28 days to 30 days, depending on your age. I think the more you advance, the more it changes. So let's just say if your cycle is okay, for you to find out first the number of your cycle, to find out first your cycle, the number. So today is 23rd, right? I started my period today, 23rd. I go to the calendar, I mark it out 23rd, and till the next day I find I bleed again. Let's just say I bleed the next month, 23rd, for example.
Okay.
You mark it and then you count.
That's a cycle.
So you're able to use it to track for the
next
one.
Yeah.
So it's.
But however, with age, I think it changes.
Okay. Then how?
So when you notice there's a change, you just keep at it.
You keep changing it. So it doesn't. The cycle does not affect the number of days, like. The cycle, does it affect the number of does the number of days affect the cycle? Like maybe we have
yes, I think I get. That's why I said it changes with like as age comes.
Okay.
I think there's some people get it at 30 days, 25 days, 20, you know, it changes really with age, with time.
So I think that's a very easy way. I think some people also use the app. People that have access to phones, they have the app that reminds them of the flow. But at the point I stopped using the app, like sometimes I feel like when you come. Now you tell me, no. But it's just with the confidence that I know that, like Pamela has rightly said, we always have pad around everywhere around us. And I think one thing I picked from what you have said today now is this: we should always care about our neighbors. So even when you're leaving your house, you might not be on your period.
Yeah, you should be intentional about helping others.
Other people. You can just keep, even if it's just one, maybe if you don't have a
I carry my pads along with me every time.
It could be any, but imagine on Saturday if I had someone that had pad with me, I would have not gone.
I have a pad as we speak here in my bag.
So exactly, that's a good spirit. I've actually picked that. And then for the ladies that don't know how to track their period, she has taught us a very simple method. You have a calendar anywhere, your system, your phone, you have calendars hanging around you. Just mark the dates and always observe it. And sometimes it comes with your body. Like someone like me, I feel it. That my stomach starts aching. I know it. I know when my period is coming. I've been through this for years. Like it's not easy. So I know when my period is coming. But we shouldn't just bank on that. You can always track your period. Use your apps. Use your calendars. Know the dates to avoid any form of embarrassment for people that can't stand it actually. And please be intentional about it. If it's a mistake, let it be a mistake that you actually got stained outside. But if it actually does, don't feel bad about it. You're a woman, I'm a woman. It has happened to me before and it can happen to everybody. And that's all we can take on today's episode of Engendered on KAFTAN TV. Do well to join us next week Tuesday by 5 p.m. for another interesting episode. I remain Chidinma Ufomadu.
I am Pamela Ajaero. Do not be shamed. It's a natural occurrence. I'm Pamela. Bye.